My name is Kevin Mack. I'm the head instructor of Krav Maga Nation with schools in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Bucks County, Pennsylvania. This is going to be a video highlighting some of the issues people tend to have with 360 instinctive outside defense. I'm not going to teach it from basic start to finish that I would teach it to a student or a beginner student. Just some principles I want to get into. But before I begin that, I want to just kind of mention my approach to teaching. My lineage in Krav Maga is Emi Lichtenfeld. Emi Lichtenfeld, the founder of Krav Maga, taught my instructor, Alan Feldman, in an attempt to make the first American Krav Maga instructors. He taught a course that graduated Darren Levine, Alan, of course, Rick Blitzstein. These were supposed to be the kind of forerunners of Krav Maga in the United States. So Alan had the privilege of training not only with Emi one-on-one, with all of Emi's top students. I've also had the advantage of training with a wide variety of Krav Maga instructors. I tried to train with the best, as well as my peers, the other black belts under Alan Feldman. In the past 30 years or so, Alan's only given out black belts to about 11 students. 3 of them train at my school. They teach at my school. They were my peers. We came up in the system. 2 of them also teach at the school, and they've been training since the 80s. So I've gotten to share in their knowledge and their experience as well. And as an instructor, perhaps everything I say or do may not be the same way your instructor says it. Or maybe Eyal Yanilov says something differently. Or Avi Moyal pronounces this a little differently. This is my experience from training with Alan. It is the experience and advice and little lessons I've learned with other instructors. Sometimes I explain things a certain way because I feel it helps a student progress. I've seen a lot of beginning students, and I've seen what issues people have. Not everybody's as unique as they think they are. People make the most same basic mistakes. So when I talk about things, I like to stay with the concepts and the most basic common concepts that kind of apply to what I think are fundamental aspects of Krav Maga and the principles and why things work. There are certain reasons why these things actually work the way they do. And this video is going to be what makes 360 work. Everybody in every Krav Maga school in the world has done 360 defense, but I think people have weird ideas of what that is. Now, 360-degree defense is a name that we use to describe our defense to outside attacks. And I need to explain the difference between inside defenses and outside defense. This is how I approach it, the way I teach my students. If there is a tube shoulder to shoulder, and my hands are here in my outlet stance, anytime my hands go inside to do that defense, it is an inside defense. You can also think of it as if the attack is coming in there within that tube, you need to do an inside defense. So if the punch is coming straight in, like a straight punch, that's an inside attack. It requires an inside defense. If the attack is coming from outside that tube, it's an outside attack. It requires an outside defense. It applies to kicks as well. You can use shin blocks, redirections with your lead leg. All attacks are inside attacks and outside attacks. But the way we define inside defenses and outside defenses is based on where your hands end up. So if he throws a straight jab at me, my hand goes from the outside and it goes inside. So it's on the line of that tube, but it's going within the width of the shoulder. Outside defense, the attack is coming from outside, and the hand is going from the inside to the outside to defend it. So that's an outside defense. So anytime these attacks are coming from outside the width of the shoulder, that requires an outside defense. And that's why we use 360-degree outside defense. We have other outside defenses too, though, as rotational defenses and inside defenses like rotational defense. And but 360 is said to be instinctive. And people have a lot of issues with that because people think, if it's supposed to be instinctive and based on our natural instincts, why do I have such trouble learning it? The reason why we learn and why we say it's instinctive is it's based off of this. Emi realized that somebody does this, your hands go up. If you walk outside into a spider web, your hands go up. So we take this reactive, weak position and we turn it into a dynamic, attacking and defending position. It's called 360 because it comes from the outside attacks, but it has you covered in a 360-degree circumference. It is meant to defend hand attacks. Overhand stab is number 1 defense. Underhand stab is 7. So it's punch defenses and knife defenses. A lot of the lower versions of 360, 7, 6, 5, tend to be defending knife attacks. 1 tends to be knife attack. 2, 3, 4, they tend to be punch defenses and knife defenses. So you need to know when you can use this and when you can't. It's not the be-all, end-all defense. It covers a lot, but you don't use outside defense 360 for like a machete defense, or perhaps machete, but axe, stick. We have specific defenses for different types of attacks. Now, because my hands are here and they're going out, I need to rotate out. So a lot of people, a lot of beginners will defend these attacks by just bringing their hands up. And it's why I emphasized you have to come outside the width of the shoulder. Because Jeff is coming out, but you see how he stopped. A lot of students do that when they train. They're not hitting full force. If Jeff does that and he blocks, but if he's too soft, my punch comes over. That's why I introduced knife into this early on, because knife doesn't allow you to cheat. So the defense needs to come from inside, outside. The principles of the defense, and John Whitman shot a very good video about this, and I'm kind of cribbing some of his description of it. The principles are defending the attack wrist to wrist as much as possible. So you're defending wrist to wrist as much as possible. Using the blade of your forearm, the strongest part of your grip. It's usually in line with your pinky, so it rotates out. Your elbow is bent, and you're giving forward pressure. You are not defending here at the apex of all its momentum. You're defending here. You're exploding into it. You're meeting it before it generates a lot of power. And we'll explain a little bit more about that later. But the pressure should be felt on him. It should never be just soft. I shouldn't just be going like this. And that's why a lot of the Israelis will show you to spread your fingers out, flay your fingers out when you do this. It makes it dynamic, it makes it a pop, but if you lay your hand on your top of your forearm and just flay your fingers out, you feel how it tightens. All right? It's what makes it a dynamic popping motion, especially with your counterattack. If you're just soft, you're not going to be able to defend and stop real momentum that's being driven with your attack. So it needs to come out, it needs to be solid. But the elbow needs to be bent. You can't allow a gap. You can't straighten your arm. You can't let go of the pressure before the attack is slowed down. So if Jeff's here and I'm putting pressure on him, I should be able to almost cover all the positions with still maintaining forward pressure on him, driving into him. You're not allowing him to come down on all that momentum. You're meeting it, as I said. But you're also not overextending. I don't want to see people stretching out to reach it. It's a simultaneous bursting motion. So the relative structure that you have is solid. This is a frame. It's perfect structure. If Jeff pushes me here, back of my hand here, he collapses the arm. The meaty part of the arm, it collapses. Here, this frame, this elbow pointing to your shoulder, driving in, allows your posture and your structure to be strong. So that principles of elbow, wrist to wrist, forward pressure, that's the defense. Every time you throw 360, that just stops the initial attack. It requires simultaneous defense. Simultaneous defense ends the attack. This just delays the inevitable of other shots coming. But what are we doing to defend against the attack? Some instructors like to step away, back up. I don't like that because you have to know the structure of the attack. The momentum, and we'll switch here. The momentum of the attack is being driven by his shoulder and stepping forward with that. So his punch is weak here, much like a stick attack, which is why we like to get inside on stick attacks. It's strong here, it's strong here, and now it's even stronger. I equate it to running next to a train that starts to gain momentum. At a certain point, you'll be able to jump on that train. At a later point, you're just never going to make it. Same thing here. I can try to bring this out. I'm never going to make it. His power is too strong. So I anticipate it, and I burst in. You're bursting into that attack so that he's now on the retreat. And he now has not just the defense of your hand blocking. He also has a punch to the face, and you're driving in, driving that arm back. If this is a knife attack, it becomes very necessary to drive that hand back, to transition from this kind of blocking position to a strong grip here, past the line of his shoulder, past the hemisphere here. I don't want to control it here, because he can collapse it. His arm is strong here, and I have to deal with the knife. If there's no knife, it's not as necessary. but get in the habit of doing it. So you defend, grab, control, continue attacking and drive back, framing your forearm into his throat. That's what makes 360 work. 360 doesn't just work because you're bringing your hand out or because you've done this drill. You know, this is just a training exercise. What works are all those component parts working together. The proper structure of your frame and your defense, the simultaneous counterattack, and the bursting in. All right? You want to go into this triangle area. You want to burst in, punch, control, counterattack. But students, instructors, this is something that became clear here. You have to realize what's happening in real life. A lot of students in different Krav Maga schools will do this. They pull the punch, they grab, they clinch, and they attack. But what's happening here? You're punching him in the face. He's now there. People don't train to clinch and close the distance. So as students, you have to train to do that. You have to defend, push him back, then close the distance and clinch him and grab. Because if somebody punches somebody in the face, they're going back. So train for that. If he punches, defend and attack. Make your defense an offense. All right? It is this. No matter what defense, it's coming in. All 5 fingers splaying out, framing, counterattack at the same time, bursting in at the same time. That's why you have to know. Don't use 360 to defend kicks, spinning back. We have outside defense, inside defenses. 360 instinctive defense to outside attacks, punches, knife slashes, stabs. That's why we learn all 7 positions. Nobody's uppercutting you to the groin. This is a knife stab. It's why our butt is pushed back and we're not bending at the knees. It's why my chin's down, my eyes are forward, to keep me from getting stabbed in the skull. Here, you're coming outside the width, you're bringing it out, you're counterattacking, wrist to wrist, blade to the forearm, elbow bend, forward pressure at all times. If you're here, that did not stop the momentum of the attack. And disagree with me or not, I want to negate the power that's being generated. And it's why a smaller guy can take away the power generated by a larger guy. Almost every defense we have in Krav Maga is predicated on getting inside, getting close, stick defense, crashing in, gun defense even, getting out of line of fire but getting inside, kick defenses, inside defense, 360. I am safe here. He is in danger. He needs to worry about this, not me. All right? That's just some of the principles of 360. I didn't get into everything, and perhaps I'll do an entire 360 basic video. But I wanted to see, these are the common mistakes, the common questions, the issues people have. And people also like to say, 360 doesn't work because you'll see guys doing this. And then, or the common one you see lots of times is just do a static block. You'll see guys doing this and then slashing and doing that. Doing that and counter. Yeah, of course you're going to be able to slash and do stuff. But if you punch the guy in the face, you're not really thinking of doing slashes and counterattacks. So you're pulling your punch, realize what's happening here. Practice is sometimes. Sometimes you can pull your punch here. Sometimes you go over the shoulder so you get that full extension. Also, sometimes, boom, pop them in the shoulder. You should be doing all 3. This allows you to be on target. This allows you to get the full extension of your punch. And this lets you see what's going to happen and allows you to have to close the distance again. So that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me through our website, which is philadelphiakravmaga.com. We will have a new website soon called kravmaganation.net, which will be a WordPress-based site. It'll be very interactive with videos, questions, pictures. We also have a Facebook page for both our schools, Krav Maga Nation, also Bucks County Krav Maga in Warminster, Pennsylvania. Get in touch with us, get on our mailing list. We have a lot of cool seminars coming up, a lot of new products, some DVDs, 2 apps, and a couple books. So get in touch, ask me any questions you may have, give me suggestions for future videos, common issues you may have. But remember, we're a teaching school, a teaching organization. Just come out, train with us, learn, and have fun. And I hope I've helped your Krav Maga develop just a little bit better. I love variety and differences. Let me know how your instructor teaches it, and we'll share knowledge. Thanks.